All right. Everybody, thank you very much for coming to this June meeting of the Patterson Park Neighborhood Association. My name is Ernest. I am the president of the Neighborhood Association. For those of you who are online, welcome. We normally put you nice front and center so you can see everybody, but the HDMI cord suddenly got about 6 feet shorter. So unfortunately, this is the angle you're going to get, and you're going to be looking at my back a lot. Also, for those of you who are in the room, we have some treats for you. We have a orange chocolate and Earl Grey cake that I made with Stephanie over here. And Miss Cheryl, tell us what you brought.
Peanut butter brownies.
Peanut butter brownies.
Yeah, they are tasty.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah. So I'm also going to do a quick introduction to your board members. So I am the president. And with us is also the treasurer, Nate Baker, over there. And the secretary, Elena, is online with us over there.
Hi.
And also in the room with us is the VP of the Patterson Place sector, Lindsay. I think, oh, wait, I'm sorry. And we also have Colin, the VP of the West sector, and Miss Cheryl, VP of the East sector.
No, save the best, save the best. Yes.
VP of the East sector and bringer of brownies. Colin, you had some ideas about how to start us off, but so.
I would love to take it from here and start us off by, maybe we can go around and do a quick, just set of introductions, and maybe you can say one thing you love about the neighborhood, or something, maybe you want to shout out somebody who's done great work for the neighborhood recently, or say anything that you think is great about this neighborhood, just to get some positive vibes flowing and community together is fine, and so also that we can see each other and hear from each other. So let's start with. Okay.
Hi, sir. I'm Ethan Hatzwick, Legislative Community Affairs Director in Zeke Cohen's office. I don't live in the neighborhood, but really love the neighborhood. Been working in the office for about a year and a half. My wife teaches at Clay Hill and Bayview, so we're both pretty involved in the Southeast. I love the way that this neighborhood and this neighborhood association in particular brings broad sectors of the community together in a collaborative way to get both big and small stuff.
Amen. My name is Colin Murphy. I am the VP of the West sector. I would like to give a shout out to everyone, sort of like jumping on the coattails of coming together to collaborate. Everyone who filed a 311 request to get the sidewalks fixed along the tennis courts on Linwood Avenue. Andy was one of those. I know there were many others who joined. I requested in a couple of meetings. Thank you. They are fixed now. They're nice and smooth and walkable and safe.
Yeah, thanks for friends.
Friends of Patterson Park, right here, shouting them out. Huge shout out to them. They also advocate for.
I'm sorry. So I just want to note that this library closes at 8. And we have a pretty packed agenda, so just try to move along very expeditiously.
Sure, expeditiously. My name is Pam Wellman. I live here and I like it because I actually think this is probably low-key the best neighborhood in the city, and I fight other neighborhoods.
Hey, all, Will Vanderveen over on the east side. I guess I'm gonna steal everyone else's thunder. I like it because of the park.
Yeah.
That's a pretty easy one.
My name is Don Meyer. My wife and I moved here from Seattle 5 weeks ago. I live in North Clinton, and I have found out quickly, because I'm kind of obnoxious when I want to get things done in my neighborhood. I've been wearing out 311, and those guys are awesome. They respond every time I call, and it's been great. So there's a lot of wonderful things about the neighborhood. But that's one that I really picked up on quick.
My name is Nate Baker. I'm the treasurer. One of my favorite parts about the neighborhood are all of the street trees. Really mature trees right next.
My name is Patricia Skrzynsky. I'm on South Potomac Street. The park has never, I've been here 28 years. The park has never looked as good as it does this year with all the rain we've had and the mowing. It really looks super. So we should take advantage of it.
Sam Knight, program manager with Neighborhood Sun. I'm not from here, but I love the fact that Patterson Park is ranked one of the top environmentally conscious neighborhoods in Baltimore City.
Hi, I'm Ron Davis. I live in the neighborhood.
Actually used to be a police officer in Baltimore City in the Eastern District. I used to have to come down, actually in the Patterson Park neighborhood for all types of shootings and drugs. So I love it, how it has changed so much over the years, and 311 actually used to not work. So I mean, like, to be in the civilian side of the house and seeing like the work that the city's actually putting in towards this neighborhood and see it actually change is like an amazing thing to see.
My name is Trevor Boston. I would say my favorite thing is the park.
I'm Carter, and I like the
I was, I'm gonna say the library as well. It's great use for the meetings that we have, and maybe last week you heard that the Baltimore bird mascot was here, so that was a great event for families and kids.
And your name?
Andy Chu, thank you, Colin, yes, thank you.
Christine Smith Burton, north side of Decker, I guess the park.
Mary Hennigan, I've been here like 35 years and I love Library Square now. I think it's a great anchor to the rest of the neighborhood.
I'm Cheryl Bryant, and I love my neighbors on the 100 block of North Potomac. I think I have the best neighbors in Patterson Park, because they always look out for me, and we just all look out for each other so well. And also Library Square, the rain garden.
Lindsay Graham, and I think my favorite part is seeing progress happen in real time. We've made a lot of strides just in the last decade, and it shows, and we're doing more. I'm Sam, I live on North Kenwood, and yeah, I love my neighbors so much, just like I love the people that I live around, and that we can do stuff together and be able to put together. Stephanie Sanders, I don't actually live here, but one of my favorite people lives here, Ernest Lay, and he's been introducing everything to me, and I really love her. I love the truth on the street. I agree with everyone. Whatever else is sharing.
Hey everyone, my name is Khalid. I live on the 200 block of North Luzerne, and I mean, what can I say? I love the neighborhood. I love my neighbors. I feel like, honestly, a lot of them are like friends. I was just talking to one of my neighbors yesterday, and she was like venting about her problems in life and whatever. But you know, I feel like that's how it should be. Also agree with you, Miss Merrick. I love Library Square. I go there all the time, probably every day, and the architecture. The houses are absolutely beautiful, so.
My name is Charles. I'm new to Baltimore. I've been here, be a year at the end of June. I live on, I keep forgetting my address for some reason.
3,200 bucks.
Yes, they were like. I said it would block. That's, yes. Okay. And so far I like it. It's been good. Love Patterson Park. I love the fun in there in the morning. That's about it.
All right,
How about anybody online if they would like to speak up?
of course. Anybody online, if you would like to speak up and just give a shout out to anything you enjoy about the neighborhood.
I'll break the online silence. I really appreciate, and I know that my sample size is biased, but I really appreciate the way that Patterson Park neighborhood is so engaged in making Baltimore and the neighborhood better. I feel like everybody that I talk to is really invested in making sure that it's greener and making sure that people feel welcome and making sure that the neighborhood is safe. And I think that's really special.
Else?
Sure, I'll go. Hi, everybody. This is Molly from the Southeast Community Development Corporation, and I've enjoyed working with dedicated neighbors, like Elena said, to make plans and make moves. I've been really impressed with the dedication and work that everybody's put in over the last 7 years that I've been watching and involved.
Okay. We have some people in the back of the room there. Would you mind introducing yourselves?
I'm Haiti Batista. I work at DPW. I used to live on Elbow. We got stationed here from the military. I'm originally from New York. I love the park. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Central Park. So I like this community, I love this district, it's really nice to live in, it reminds me a little Manhattan with the brownstone, so I get a little piece of my home when I'm here, and I feel, because I work for DPW, I invest in my community here for you.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Daryl. I'm Councilmember Antonio Glover's office in District 13. From East Baltimore. I'm not too familiar with you guys' area, but I've been to a lot of meetings here. I like how everybody's really, immersed in the conversation, and you guys are doing your part to make Baltimore City a greater place. Speaking on behalf of the councilman, I have newsletters from what we're doing, and that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Daryl, if you'd like to, you can actually leave the newsletters on the table over there. That's where we leave the publications for people to pick up. Thank you for coming.
No problem.
All right, so I'm gonna read this one out loud because it looks like we have someone from, okay. Well, actually, you all can see it on the screen, I suppose. So there's someone on the chat introducing himself from the North Curly Street. So welcome. Did I have that? Okay. All right, so next up, we're gonna talk a little bit about some work that BGE is doing. Now, some of you know some things that BGE has done in the past, and some of you may know about what has been going on. But we're here to try to give you as much information as possible and what to expect, and make sure you also know all your rights as they continue. Now, what happened was BGE actually did a presentation over at Breath of God Lutheran Church. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. On Thursday. Two of us were actually there. That would be Lindsay and myself. We're there taking copious notes about everything that they were saying. And there was also a Facebook Live recording of the entire meeting if you want to check it out and get all the details. But basically, BGE is replacing all of their gas mains and all of their service lines. This will be a process that they expect will take 18 months. And they're starting Monday, the 17th, right? Yeah, the 17th. So this will involve a bunch of things. First, they're going to tear up the streets in order to replace those lines, which is going to mean that in a lot of blocks, at certain points, they're going to be putting up signs saying you can't park here because we need to access that. The thing you should know is that they are required to post warning, they are required to post signs 72 hours in advance. So if you see a sign saying, work will be done here, and you did not see that, the sign should say, on these dates, no cars are allowed to park here. If that sign is posted there and it gives these dates, but that date is 48 hours from now, you have the right to stand there and say, no, you didn't do this properly, and you have the right to call the city or contact us. We will know who to talk to. And this has happened before, that the BGE contractors have come in, tried to do things too quickly, and we just say, no, you're not allowed to do that. And you're not allowed to start towing our cars or anything like that. So that is very important for you to know. Anyway, so once they replace all of those mains, they are also going to be replacing the service lines going to each house. As part of that, they are going to be installing regulators, gas pressure regulators. Some of you may know that at one point BGE was just installing external regulators without asking people whether they wanted them to be external or internal. Thanks to a ruling by the Public Service Commission, they now have to give us a choice. Do you want that to be external on the outside of your house, or do you want that to be internal? So there will be a process where they are going to try to contact you and actually find out what you want to do. And if they don't ask you that, you have the right to tell them to stop work, because they're supposed to ask you whether you want it to be internal or external. And that is entirely up to you. And do you think that it's very likely that speeding car is going to come by and possibly hit the side of your house and hit an external regulator? Maybe you want that to be internal then. Or maybe you feel like, you know, if something goes wrong, I would rather the leak and all the problems be external to the house rather than in my basement. It is your choice. You have the right to make that decision. Also, something, and Lindsay, let me know if I missed something here, but if they are doing construction work on your street, they are also supposed to cover up things like your doorbell security cameras, because otherwise flying debris and things can get all over it. What are the problems do we have?
If you want, I can just speak to it.
Okay,
if you
go
want.
for it.
Yeah, okay, so, there are a number of
Actually, would you
things.
mind coming over here?
I
The
don't
microphone's
mind.
Over here.
There are a number of things to consider as part of this process. And just know that myself and my block underwent this 2 years ago. We were among the folks who were forced to get the external regulator. BGE is still promoting the external installation as the safer option. That's not necessarily true. That is just simply their messaging. You now have the ability to install it internally, and what that will do is, rather than the external regulator, you'll have a vent on the exterior of the house, very small, well, really big. So what Ernest was saying earlier about the 72-hour parking notice, what I'm gonna suggest as a part of this process is the blocks of points, a block captive to manage this, because it's going to be a process. Your life will be disrupted. It's loud, it's dirty, and it's long. And the faster you and your neighbors can help MPL just get it done and get them out of there, the easier your life will be. And that involves ensuring that all neighbors get their cars out of there first thing in the morning as soon as they can. Give them the space to do what they need to do, be on top of your scheduling and all of that. Now let's talk a little bit about what can happen to your house. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is document, before they start work, document the exterior and interior of your home. Because they're gonna have heavy machinery operating right outside of your home. They're gonna have it right, like jackhammers happening like right in front of your historic facade. Your house is going to shake. It's going to be very noisy. And in some cases, your drywall seams might crack. You know, might want to pay attention to your window boxes, make sure there's no separation happening in those window boxes. Take photos and document the condition of your house before they begin work, because you may be able to get some funds to help repair them. We during this conversation with BGE, we got them to commit to at least hearing neighbors out who have experienced damage. And to Ernest's point about exterior damage, ensure that the workers are covering your windows, because when they're chipping that concrete up, it's flying everywhere, right? I had a neighbor whose window got cracked. It's just the nature of the work. You want to make sure that that's covered. Among those things are your doorbells and other like security devices, right? That have camera lenses, stuff like that. Make sure that those are protected, and if you can, take them down while that work is happening, because you know, it's better not to have to replace that if you don't have to. So what else? Access to the gas meter and potential damage. So BGE requires that there be 3 feet on all sides, they say, of your meter to give them space to do their work. Now, that's technically not their policy, but MPL's workers will insist that if you have your meter covered in some way, even if there's an access hatch and it's difficult for them to work around, they may want to like bust out your finished walls and stuff like that. During this meeting, which again, I encourage everyone to listen to, go to the recording of this meeting, because we've asked a lot of very specific questions. They had compromised by saying, look, if you have an access hatch and you have the ability to access the space on all sides moderately, right? the workers should be able to get there. If they can get in there with a wrench, then they shouldn't have to rip out your drywall, right? So there's some compromise there, but you have to be ready to advocate for yourselves because the workers will want to do it differently. They'll want to do it the easiest way for them, and that is tearing out your drywall. So be ready to advocate for yourselves. So that's kind of it on the your rights from a BGE perspective. But this project also has possibilities. And so I wanted to talk about one of the things that we did on the 100 block and 200 block of my street in partnering with Councilman Z. Cohen's office. We were able to leverage something called the Complete Streets Ordinance to make improvements curb to curb to our street, to our sidewalk, the actual curbs, the transitions, all of those things, look at the street holistically and make improvements to what had been there before, rather than just accept these continual patchwork, half-assed jobs that, BGE comes in and does, because they're only required to do up to a certain amount of repairs to the roads and to the sidewalks. So what happens when your road has been touched already so many times over the course of years and years and years, where, like on our block, the curb and the street were the same height. Yeah. So what happens there? Well, that's where this Complete Streets Ordinance comes in. And we were able to leverage that to make these improvements. And what the city is supposed to do is cooperate with BGE to save taxpayer money, and look at that street holistically and perform curb to curb repairs. Ensure that sidewalks are ADA compliant, that you actually have transitions. And Ernest and I the other day, because we were in the area that's going to be worked on, we took a look around and we asked ourselves, okay, well, where are some of the areas that I would look at to figure out, where can the improvements be made? So some of the things that we did on our block, we had all the curbs restored. We did curb to curb road repair. In many cases, our road hadn't been touched since the 70s. There were patches that the DPW folks with years and years of experience said that was from the 70s, that was from the 90s. They literally walked around the neighborhood and can tell me when that piece of the road had been touched. So we had transitions redone, sidewalk redone. We had grading so that the stormwater would actually flow to our storm drains correctly. And then we evaluated the street for parking, for signage. Is there outdated signage? Is there a no parking sign that needs to be moved? Is there opportunity to add additional angled parking spaces? We added 2. And it's mostly because nobody had taken a look holistically at the street until that time. So this affords you the opportunity to do that. Now, how do you go about doing that? Well, you need really somebody in the neighborhood, in that area that's having the work done to spearhead that effort. It takes a lot. And the reason it takes a lot is because, while Zeke's office is enormously helpful, we could not have done it without them. DOT and DPW, they don't want to cooperate with each other. They don't want to accept responsibility for this. Yes, 100%. So for us, what happened was, while BGE was absolutely interested in cooperating and working with the city to align their efforts, the city couldn't get themselves together in time to be able to do that. Contractually, BGE has to make those repairs within a certain amount of time. 4 months went by, BGE had to do its repairs. And that was a waste of money for taxpayers because we could have leveraged that to spend less money to repair these streets, right? So something to think about. I'm happy to talk to anybody who wants to take that on. Yes.
Do you have the schedule, or is there a schedule for where and when the repairs are?
That's a great question. So, BGE, says it's all based on weather. It's all contingent on a lot of things. They start with the gas main work, however. So that service line work, where they're having to enter your homes and schedule that work, that won't happen until the gas main work is done. Once the gas main work is done, they can basically send in the next crew to start doing that. So this will happen on kind of a rolling basis, where they will go block to block to block and like get this done. So a total timeline here for like when we need the city to get on board, like to do something related to complete streets, probably within the next couple of months. And really
Couple of what?
months, yes, yes. They're looking, go ahead.
You mentioned your street had it done 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Are they repeating streets? Because my street had this done 6 years ago, and it would seem like, what are you doing?
I can't speak to that. I mean, I am not the city and I'm not BGE and I can't, speak to.
Okay, because I just noticed the only house on the block, an end house, who had not had it done, they have a sign out from BGE saying, but, we're coming for the month. And that's the only space.
Yeah.
And the rest, but they're tearing up Pulaski and Linwood anyway for something else. But, so I'm wondering if that's the whole street or just,
I don't know, maybe
Replacing.
you have more insight. into
Yeah,
it.
I don't, I can certainly follow up with BG and try to get some more details. Also, I wanna just speak to some of the DOT, DPW, complete street stuff when
Yeah. Absolutely.
maybe I can come back to that.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a question?
Ernest, you mentioned that they'd be contacting us to determine whether we want them internal or external.
Yes.
Did they mention how they would go about that?
So, there's gonna be a combination of mail and also, stuff left on, like a sign left on your doorknob. And then, exactly how they follow up. Do you remember how they were gonna follow up?
There's a community engagement coordinator, so that's the number that you'll be receiving by door tag and in the mail. And you'll need to follow up with them within a certain period of time to schedule, the service line work. So that's who you want to talk to, and you can talk to them about like any other concerns that you have about your property specifically. And that's where that, being able to advocate for yourself comes in.
They started on Clinton 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
They put the signs all the way down our block.
Mhm.
They've been digging up the street for the last few weeks. I talked to the guys yesterday out there. He said they were replacing old mains and some really old clamps. He said that one of the pipes needed to be replaced. We called, my wife and I did 2 weeks ago because we could smell gas in our neighborhood. And they came out and the guy told me yesterday they found 2 leaks coming from pipes in the ground. So they're replacing. No, I think it was that was before they started digging the street up. So they came to our street first, I guess, for that. And it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a part of like an emergency repair or if this is a part of the planned work. I would recommend looking at the map that was provided to us that is on the recording and seeing if that work is related to that phase 1 planning or if it's something else.
So just so you know, the recording we're talking about, if you're all on our email list, then you got an email saying, about this meeting. There was a link in that email that said, watch the recording here. That's what we're talking about. It's a Facebook Live recording.
Yeah, so if nobody has any questions, I would like to let Ethan talk to you about complete streets.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Lindsay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just wanted to, to the piece about interagency coordination and collaboration can always be a bit of a challenge, and in the case of Lindsay's block, it was a huge challenge. But I also do want to give Katie and the folks at DOT and DPW and the city administrator's office a shout out. I think back when that was happening, like 2022, we didn't have as strong of a city administrator as we have now. And I've seen in a lot of cases the DOT, not in all cases, but in many cases that coordination and collaboration improve, and we haven't had to do as much of it, which I appreciate. other thing is, and Lindsay, you'll have to remind me, because I know you had already started the process, like when I started in my role, but I don't believe that we actually took. I don't think that that the complete streets ordinance, like we used it as an opportune moment where like BG&E had come back to repave it, they left it, and then we're like, okay, can we use this as an opportunity to make some long needed striping, signage, lane marking changes, but I don't think in general that. And we can do that for other blocks, but I don't, just to clarify on the law, I don't believe that utility work would trigger the process where DOT is required to change the markings for a street. BG&E basically just has to put things back the way that they were. That's for where they dug. That's I believe the requirement. Am I?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the requirement, that they just have to put things back where they were.
Yeah.
That's, my understanding was that, when I was investigating, utilizing complete streets in this way is like, okay, well, if they're gonna dig up the whole entire street, and we have all these other things that need to be addressed anyway.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to get the city to like look at this more holistically? And that's when complete streets came up, it was brought to us. We looked, the process for the improvements to the street began before BGE started their work.
Okay.
So like
okay,
trying
got
to
it.
get the stop signs, for instance, and then it sort of evolved into, okay, like they're gonna tear up the street anyway, well, how do we get this, dealt with, since there are a lot of other problems here that BGE will not address.
Got it. Yeah, I think it's just a subtle difference I wanted to clarify, and that I think it's an opportune and strategic time to advocate and push for some changes, but it's not necessarily a law that the city has to make. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, and I'm not trying to infer
Yeah.
that you have to, but you do have to advocate if you want those changes
Yeah.
made alongside this work.
Yeah, just, I say that just because, and I don't think you were saying that, just when I hear complete streets, a lot of people associate that with this law that says when the city does work, they have to make changes to the street, and we spend a lot of time getting the city to comply with that law, but just in this instance, I don't think that triggered, it's like a technical difference that I'm probably dwelling on too much, but just wanted to make sure it was clear.
Any other questions?
I have one. When they're done with their work in the big holes that they left,
Mhm.
when they fill it up with asphalt, it's about 2 inches above the normal street pavement. Is there a requirement that they come back and grade that, or are they just leaving the big lump of asphalt all the way down the street? There's a bunch of them already on Clinton.
So that's a temporary fill,
Okay,
and it will be like that for a while. They are required within a certain amount of time, and I don't remember what that is off the top of my head. I think it was somewhere around 4 months. They are contractually obligated to come and do repairs, but it's a partial repair. Usually what they will do is just put more asphalt on top of stuff. Very rarely do they fully mill down the road, and then do the repair. It'll still be a patch, but it will be a large one.
I live on a lovely red brick street.
I don't know anything about that, sadly. That has not been a repair that I have experienced yet or have seen BGE address.
Is there a person at BG&E that you've been in contact with that I could call?
Yeah, so we were given contacts on the presentation that was given and recorded. So that information should be in there, and you should be able to reach out to community engagement folks.
We will make sure to include that information in the email we send out after the meeting that summarizes what we just discussed.
And I'm gonna check with DOT on the rules for that, just to fact check what BGD says. I'll CC on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
This
Yes.
isn't a question exactly, this statement, there's a scam going on now where they call you and say they're from BGE. And because you didn't get the new thingamabob installed, regulator installed, that they're coming to, cut off your BGE. Yeah, and then they say, well, then if you give us a payment, if you make the payment to BG&E, they won't do it. So I have a lot of fun when he calls me, But just to let you know and let other people, I know all the young people, we live far tell your aunts or uncles, your grandma.
We might.
I fall.
I'm not. Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, well, the important thing to know here is that BGE will never call you, which is why they're delivering information to your mailbox and to your door to have you call them.
Actually, that's not true.
Okay,
Yeah, because they called me to come into my house to get the, because my gas meter was messed up and they actually called me.
but you had already provided that
No,
information?
no.
Okay,
So I moved in a couple years ago, and then like 3 months in, they called and they kept leaving voicemails. Like, hey, I mean, I'm not answering because I'm like, ah,
Sure,
it's probably a
yeah.
scam. And then I called BG&E back and they're like, yeah, that's us. We have to set up a date. Like I actually went to the website, checked it out, like, so they will call you. I mean, they do.
Okay.
It's a thing.
they say they don't call you.
Yeah, no, they do.
But apparently they do. Okay.
Well, they will not, definitely not ask for payment from a.
No.
cash.
No.
And you can always let it go to voicemail and call their direct number.
Yeah. But I'm cybersecurity analyst now, so I kind of like, oh, you know.
All right, so we have to move along. As always, if you have any questions, send it to info@pattersonparkneighbors.org. That goes to everybody on the board, and we will try to answer or connect you to anybody who can answer your questions for you. Is there anybody here from the With Us For Us Coalition? Okay, great. Come on up. So though you are our guest speaker, you have 10 minutes.
Hi everyone, my name is Lorraine. I live in Holland Market in Southwest Baltimore. And I love community organizing. I've been doing it ever since I moved to Baltimore. I also work for a labor union. It's called 1199 SEIU. We represent healthcare workers across Baltimore City, across Maryland and DC. And so we have joined forces with other labor unions as well as a number of neighborhood organizations and community groups to create With Us For Us. We named it that coalition because we want development to be done with those who have been impacted the most by disinvestment and systemic racism in Baltimore City. And so our campaign had initially been a ballot initiative. You may have heard of us collecting signatures at farmers markets. And now we've actually transitioned away from the ballot initiative. But the original intent and the goal is still the same. And that's why I wanted to come share with you all, because now we're switching more into just relational organizing. It's a lot different when you're not having to get 10,000 signatures for a ballot initiative, but rather connecting with people on why we're organizing. And we want to be able to, this is like an introductory meeting, and we want to come back again and hold a listening session with more neighbors from the area. So our campaign was about holding our anchor institutions, so hospitals and universities who do not pay any property taxes in Baltimore City, accountable to paying their fair share. So how many of you all knew that our hospitals and universities are not paying property taxes on? Awesome, great. So we, in Baltimore City, they have an agreement called Payment in Lieu of Taxes. And so this agreement was signed originally in 2010. Renewed again in 2016, and it was a 10-year agreement. So we're currently in that agreement, and it'll expire in 2026. This agreement was signed behind closed doors with the mayor and the representatives of these institutions, which is why a lot of people in Baltimore do not even know that it exists. This pilot agreement says that these 15 institutions combined should pay a lump sum of $6 million. Just to put that in perspective, it is not $6 million for each institution. It's a lump sum, and they are foregoing about $110 million in property taxes if they were, for profit. And they're also, there was just a recent report by the comptroller, Bill Henry, on pilots and his recommendations to make sure that they're fair, that they're transparent, that they're public. That also said that these institutions are utilizing $43 million in city services. So property taxes helps fund public schools, it helps fund city infrastructure, our recycling, trash, all of these needed services. And that burden of paying property taxes is shifted onto everyday Baltimoreans who are homeowners, who are renters, all while our more wealthy institutions are taking advantage. And so we just want to have this campaign where we are acknowledging that they are providing a lot of good for our city, but also there's a lot of potential for a city that is really looking for revenue to fund some needed resources, some needed community-led initiatives by holding these institutions accountable. This campaign is not new in the country. A lot of cities that have huge educational and medical institutions have pilots, and they have processes that are way more transparent than Baltimore. So for example, we've been looking into Boston, whose mayor on their website publishes what each institution pays every single year. So we have been asking the Department of Finance to tell us what each institution has been paying the city every single year since 2016, and that response or that question has not been answered yet. Because even though they're, in an agreement, it's a voluntary agreement. So they may or may not be paying their due amount for that 6 million sum for each year. And so our coalition has been really fighting to create more public task force and oversight, very similar to Boston, where they have a task force with labor and community stakeholders at the table, having a methodology that is fair, not just some number pulled out of someone's hat saying, okay, 6 million is a payment in lieu of these taxes that you owe, but rather a methodology for understanding how much. Another thing is, and oftentimes these nonprofits, they're mandated to provide community benefits, which is why they say we don't need to pay property taxes. And in cities like Boston, they have a formula set in place to actually describe how much of community benefits are these institutions providing, that we can say counts towards, your payment towards your property taxes when using these city services. And then as a labor union who looks at hospital finances, we know that hospitals are also mandated to provide community benefits. So the Health Services Cost Review Commission just put out a report this past fall that shows that, and this is for all the hospitals in Maryland, that only 37% of their reported community benefits is actually meeting community needs. Every year we do community health needs assessments, and that gap of 37% really shows how much anchor institutions are missing what they could be providing, right? And that's often due to the lack of community involvement and true community-led development. So part of our campaign is holding those institutions accountable. And then additionally, we've been thinking and really working a lot with different organizations, community groups who are thinking about community ownership of land, community ownership of business as a way to keep wealth local and create good local well-paying jobs, right? That actually stabilize communities, that provide jobs for communities, that are owned and operated and democratically decided on by people who know their communities best. And so that term that we're using is called community wealth building, which is a movement that is across the country. And the city that we've been looking at as a model is Chicago, whose mayor just invested $15 million for community wealth building initiatives in their city. So this includes technical assistance for groups that want to transition over to a cooperative, have no idea how to do that transition, but need that support. It's funding for groups that are established but need funding to sustain their initiatives, and then funding also for groups that need things that keep them sustainable. So community wealth building infrastructure in cities like Chicago show what's possible when there is sustainable revenue. And that's something that we want to see here in Baltimore City, because we actually have a really thriving community wealth building ecosystem. We have cooperatives like Red Emma's, we have cooperatives like Blue Bottle, we have community land trusts like South Baltimore Community Land Trust, Charm City Land Trust, yes, Northeast. Yes, exactly. And oftentimes these amazing initiatives, the limiting factor is funding. And what if our city actually used some of these pilot contributions, had a fair negotiation that included community members, that included the workers that work at these institutions, to bring in money to sustain efforts like that keep wealth local. And that's actually part of anchor institutions' mission, is to support communities, right? They often use that language in their own narrative and rhetoric. And now we just want to hold them to that narrative and that rhetoric, right? And so with us for us is really building forces with a lot of different organizations and neighborhood groups to hold these town halls and listening sessions to ask you all, what does community wealth building look like to you? What does it look like to have, and so the model we're often asking for these institutions is 25% of the foregone property taxes. It could be a lot more than that. It depends on how the city negotiates, but we're looking into $50 million coming into the city, which is a large chunk of money for something that we can think about how we want to use it. And so if you're interested in that, building that campaign, we are just transitioning from the ballot initiative, looking into a legislative approach that needs, city residents to advocate with us. We're looking to build relationships and community education on what community wealth building is, because a lot of people don't know that term, but they know it when they see it, right? They're almost doing it already. They just don't know the term for it. And I honestly don't like the term itself, but we know that it's successful and it helps communities thrive. So I'll leave you to that. My 2 minutes is up, and I'll send over some contact information for me, Lorraine at 1199. And we have monthly coalition meetings every month that highlight different community wealth builders across the country and across the city. So it's the first Monday of every month, 1 hour, 5:30 to 6:30. So if you're interested in joining the email list, I'll let Ernest kind of share your contact information.
So actually, yeah, if you don't mind, could you
put it in the chat there?
just let me know what is your, how can we contact you?
It's Lorraine, my first name, LORAINE .ARI KAT at 1199.org, 1199.org. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions about the campaign or the coalition?
Hi, Lorraine. Could you just read off again when those meetings are?
Yes, it's the first Monday of every month, 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. on Zoom.
I'm blocking the. What can a neighborhood organization do for you?
Yeah, something that we want to do is district by district town hall and listening sessions where we've been testifying at taxpayers night. I don't know if y'all have seen that on the banner or anything. And something we've been really noticing is the lack of participatory process in allocating funds in a way that really involves people. And so we want to have these type of listening sessions and town halls where we just look at this pilot contribution as a pot of money where we can think about how would allocating that in a way that builds community wealth in your district look like? And so planning a town hall like that in collaboration with you all would be something that we would love to do this summer, this early fall.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Got it all in time too. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. So we have two other items on the agenda that I was gonna spend more time on. I'm gonna actually try to zoom through them because I know there are some people who want to make some community announcements at the end. So a couple of things. First of all, just an update on our security cameras initiative. We have installed security cameras on the outside of the Montessori school on the square, which happens to be Andy's property over there. So that's, better coverage for seeing traffic accidents and all kinds of nonsense. And you may know that we installed cameras on Baltimore and Linwood at Patterson Public House, and unfortunately, some footage from that did have to be used for an incident. I guess I'm kind of like, I wish something hadn't happened, but at the same time, at least it was good that some cameras caught it. So anyway, all right, now, moving on from that. You have heard me say before that we want to revive movie nights on Library Square. And, it's time to get to brass tacks and actually make it happen. So we have been, and by that I mean we, the board, have been figuring out how do we actually make this happen, and we've come to a couple of conclusions. One is that we have most of the equipment we need. We need a laptop, we have that. We need a projector, we actually have that. PPNA owns one. We need a screen. We do actually have that. We need a way to power it. We actually have that, or if need be, we'll get a super long extension cord and run it from some nice neighbor's outlet. I have super long extension cords. It'll be okay. So what do we need? We need some way to play discs, because we don't want to rely on an internet connection and trying to stream these movies. We want to play either DVD or Blu-rays. We do not currently have such a thing. So I wanted to ask, does anybody have one? Yes, Ms. Cheryl.
Okay, I think you forgot this part. I said I could order one online, which I have ordered. I'm waiting for it to come.
Okay,
It plugs into the laptop and, so you could show play.
okay, great. We are going to be using the library to order movies, or, the library's catalog of discs. I think, Ms. Cheryl, you were saying that they've got the entire Disney catalog, right?
They have the Disney catalog, yeah, because we used to do movies. in
Which
Disney.
includes Marvel, because that's part of
Yep.
Disney, so we're gonna be including all of that. We also need some kind of speaker system. Does anybody by any chance have a speaker system? Yes?
I don't have a speaker system, but I was gonna say, I do have what you call a Blu-ray player that I never play. And so I'll be willing to donate it to you all, just have it, and that way, whatever she was gonna buy or the money for, maybe put that to the speaker. I live in Bella Edison, but I still love Edison Park because I love all of Baltimore, but I'd be happy to donate it to you.
We appreciate that so very much. Yes, Haiti?
The other thing, because you're a community association, you can go through the tool bank. And you know, they have a speaker at the tool bank, and the speaker I've rented before is approximately this big.
What is the tool bank? That's not the tool library, right?
You've never heard of the tool bank in the city?
It's different, I can talk.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, they have equipment, they have tables, they have chairs that community associations can rent. You just have to call them up and give them the dates that you're gonna have it and set those dates up. And they will have the equipment ready for you, just go pick it up and bring it and take it back in a timely fashion.
Good to
Can I
know.
can I interrupt? Miss Cheryl purchased a very large speaker along with the movie screen, and it's in the garage with the movie screen.
I mentioned that to me. That's the ask Molly.
I knew about the movie screen. I didn't know about the speaker. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I thought we had.
Well, we're prepared. Right?
We're gonna do a test run 2 weeks from now. It would be next week, but I'm actually in California, but we're gonna do a test run and try to set everything up. And then look for us to publish a schedule, and hopefully, I used to love movies on the library square, so we're bringing it back. All right, and then the other thing I was going to update you on, so just really quickly. Sorry, there was somebody.
Would he be willing to help? And he was instrumental when we used to do them for polls. He rocked, he knows how to do everything.
Great. Thank you.
Shooting the girl.
I'm going to ask Elena to please send our contact information, or just put it into the chat for us, so that you can contact us. Okay, so next up, a little while back, we finished doing these big gigantic grant applications for the Department of Housing and Community Development to get everything from traffic cameras to more paint on our intersections to parabolic mirrors and so on and so forth. And those have been submitted. We have not received a decision back, so we don't know how much money we're gonna be getting. So, we're still waiting on that. But in the meantime, other grants have come up. And the one I want to let you all know about is that there's a grant out there to provide trees for communities. I mean, it does a couple of other things, but one of the things it said was greening initiatives, including planting trees. And I immediately said, oh, we want trees. Historically, a lot of the grants that have come out that are for trees have been announced, and they were like, okay, your deadline to apply is 5 days from now. And we were just like, no, we can't do that. But this one is actually in December, so we can do that. And what we need you to do is tell us where you want the trees. So, we are your neighbors, we live in your neighborhood, we don't know every single street. So if you want a tree, we need to know, okay, what is the address where you want that tree? And is there a pit there already? If there's not, then, you know, that obviously changes the cost. And, so send your requests to info@pattersonparkneighbors.org. And, you know, these are grants, they're competitive grants. I make no promises, I make no guarantees. All I can say is we're going to apply for it, we're gonna try to get those for you. And, they're done on a rolling basis, so hopefully we will have some news for you. Any questions about that?
Where do we
Yes.
get the application to,
I'm sorry?
where do we get an application to?
So
Yeah.
the application is actually, it actually has to be done by a 501c3, which the neighborhood association is. But, you know, in our proposal, we have to say, we want to put it here and it's gonna cost this much and it's gonna, we need to rent this equipment and so on and so forth. So that's why we need information from you. If you want it on your street, that's fine, tell us, but we need to know. What's the address? Is there a pit there already? Is there a stump that needs to be dug out? Okay, make sense?
Can I
Yes.
send that to you?
info@pattersonparkneighbors.org, that goes to the entire board.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, so what type of other things can the grants be used for? Specifically, if a neighborhood wanted to get a gate for the alleys, like to close off the alleys, could we?
it is not for that.
It's not?
It is not for that. I have to,
Like, there are, so this grant is specifically, like, it has certain parameters.
Okay.
There are many other grants out there. And it's a difficult landscape to navigate sometimes, but what you're probably looking for is like a capital fundings grant, which are a little bit harder to find. That being said, Baltimore Community Foundation, you can apply for a grant of less than $10,000 at any time from them, and that could be an opportunity if you were interested in alligating. They may be able to do that.
Okay.
so this particular grant I was just talking about is called the Keep America Beautiful Grant. So it was specifically environmental initiatives, and, you know, one of the things it said was trees. I would have to look at it again to see what other things it was for, but I don't believe that alligating would fall under that particular grant. However, there are others, and if you want to know more, we know some people who have, I mean, you've noticed that it exists on some other streets. We know the people who have done it, and we would be happy to connect you with those people so that we can talk you through their experience.
Okay.
Yes.
The city actually has a department,
Mhm.
the alligating department, and it's got the other phone number. I called today, nobody answered, but they've got an email address where you can get information to petition the city
Mhm.
to gate an alley.
Yes.
And there's obviously some parameters that you gotta meet to
Right.
get that done.
Right.
I've already rounded up a bunch of neighbors on my street and on East Baltimore,
Mhm.
and we're gonna go after.
What,
It
what
doesn't
block?
sound like-
I'm sorry.
Pardon me?
What block?
Where I live?
Yeah.
I live at 2 North Clinton. I'm on the corner of Clinton and East Baltimore.
So we're
200 block in East Baltimore.
So we're off of you. So we're that alley that you're probably talking about with Noble and. Yeah, that's the alley we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we actually have a group chat right now where we have a lot of neighbors on Fairmount and on Clinton that are looking like to get a consent. So where we can, petition for that, yeah.
Okay. I'd like you to
Look
contact-
at that.
Yes.
They are alley, but, you know.
I got somebody waiting to hear what.
Well, we jumping too, right?
Back over, well, you know.
See, it pegs the contradiction.
Colin, you look like you were trying to say something.
No, I'm just standing to be, I'm just,
You're just restless.
yeah,
Okay.
just restless.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Hope nobody minds, sorry.
All right. Quick update, so, at the corner of Baltimore and Linwood, you may remember that, we had that community paint day, and we laid some stuff down. If you look at the northwest corner of that intersection, you will see that there is no paint there. Well, okay, there is some paint there, but we did not lay down any colorful paint there because we actually knew BGE was gonna be going over there, digging it up, doing all kinds of things. And basically they would have destroyed anything we had already laid down there. So we were waiting for that to be done. And it's gotten repaved, the crosswalk has been replaced. We still need to get those flex posts planted up again, but once that is done, our contractor Graham Projects is gonna go in there and paint that area as well. There is also an intersection at Fayette and Luzerne where, again, we have been told that there is construction happening there, so we are waiting for that to happen. And whenever that actually happens, then we can start talking about laying down paint. And then we also are going to be, we actually have a date to lay down paint at Lakewood in Baltimore in front of the charter school. I should have written down exactly when that date is. It's a couple of months from now. So, you know, unfortunately, things have been delayed because construction happens, and we've actually been waiting and waiting and waiting, and BGE keeps saying, oh, we're gonna pave that street this weekend. And then the weekend comes and it doesn't happen. And then they say, no, we're doing it next weekend, and then it doesn't happen. Finally, it has happened, but some other things have to still be done before we can finish the painting on that intersection. It's gonna look good, I promise. It's just these things have been delayed. So if you were wondering, hey, what happened to those community paint days? I just wanted to let you know that is what it is. Okay, now with that being said, we are slightly over time, but I'm gonna give us some time at the end because I know there are some people here who want to make some community announcements. So.
All right, I will be lightning fast. If you have any questions, I'll give up my business card. So Samuel Knight, I'm here with Miss Kimberly Armstrong. We're a subscribing partner with the Hopkins Henderson Solar for Us program. It's in connection with the Climate Action Fund, which is a nonprofit. Anybody heard of community solar? All right, so long story short, Maryland has this very, very now impossible goal of having 50% renewable energy in like the next few years. We've been high on that goal, but that is still the goal. About 15% of this energy must be from solar power. So what community solar does is give the state of Maryland, and specifically in this case, Baltimore City, a chance to force BG&E to take on solar energy by having community solar panels attached directly to the grid. So it's not a matter of it being installed in your home or having to be a homeowner to get anything checked. So if you look at this is how it works. Hopkins Henderson School, which is not too far from here, is on Ashland Avenue, is having a community solar farm built on top that can house about 200 households. If you look at it on average, it's connected directly to the grid. And of course, the grid is connected to your homes. These things are powered by subscribers, right? So when we subscribe, we pay into this system. And because of that, the state of Maryland will subsidize 25% of the electric bill. That's the benefit. It's one of those win-win-win situations. And they are considered, this is considered a LMI, low to moderate income project. So if you look on the back, pretty much if you are an individual that make less than $78,768, you qualify. You could be a homeowner, you could be a renter, or whatever have you, but if you make less than that amount, you qualify for this program. Everything is online for you to subscribe. And say somebody say, well, I make 80,000, I make 90,000. Well, we have other programs located in BG and the other solar farms where you can save 10%. So 10% is like the standard amount, but if you make less than the $78,000 amount, then you can get 25% off. So one more thing before we close, this is how the process looks like. We passed the bill for it to be all on one bill one day, but BG is fighting that. So they have to 2026 to put everything on one bill. So the way it looks like right now, you would say, let's say solar credits cover 100% of your bill, your electric bill is $100. The solar credits will pay that $100, and you'll get a separate invoice saying, hey, we paid BG $100, please pay us $75. You save how much? You know, $25. But it's more important than just helping people save some money. It's about saving the environment. So again, that's it. I don't think we have time for Q&A, but
I'll give you a couple.
Oh, great. Do we have time? Any questions or comments? Alrighty, so you can go to this QR code and sign up, or I have a business card. You can give me a call and everything. So thank y'all for your time. Yes, ma'am.
Is there like a number, like do you have to get in it quick? Cause it'll fill up. or-
So I don't know how long it'll take for it to fill up. I just know it has about 827 kilowatts worth of capacity. So as soon as enough, it's based on your historic usage. Let's say you generally use 10 kilowatts a month, well, you know, you do the math, but once it's full, there's always another project that's gonna open up, but it may not be 25%. So I would say start up as soon as you can. It will be finished construction in September, so first solar credit should come out in December, but we're enrolling people now, because if you were a developer, you want the customers waiting for you before you finish a multi-million dollar project. Yes.
And I just wanna add to it that community solar has been around for almost 10 years, right? So it used to be a pilot program, and now it's a permanent program. And a part of that permanent program, you pass the legislation, 40% has to come from low and moderate income. And that way it allows for everybody to participate into renewable energy, not just some people. And what the great thing about it is that you don't even have to have it on the roof. I have rooftop solar and I have community solar. Some people may say, well, why do you have both? Because my rooftop does not allow me to offset all of my energy. However, I use community solar to offset some more of my energy. So I always tell people it's a win-win situation when sometimes I can get a return on my investment, especially when it comes from the utilities. Yeah, so.
Another question?
Pardon me, remind me again, what organization you are?
So this is the Solar for Us program through Hopkins Henderson. But it's a coalition really. So you have Hopkins Henderson, Johns Hopkins and everybody, but you also have Climate Action Fund, which is a nonprofit. And we are a community solar subscriber organization. So Neighborhood Sun and Clean Energy. So it's really a coalition.
So it's a group of, because it's a lot of people that we have to, you know, get the word, to spread the word, but also we want to have more people in our community to be subscribers as well. Because like the young lady was talking about before, that about community benefits, right? How does the community benefit? So that's the great thing about this project as well, is that the community can actually benefit. And I don't know if many of you know that Hopkins Henderson, when it was built with solar. So they were so they minimized and reduced their energy costs for the school. So that's where Hopkins Henderson, this project and Solar for Us comes, where so they're building a bigger array, but it allows for the community to take advantage of it as well.
Any other questions?
And I don't know if I said my name or not. Kimberly Armstrong, but I've been a community organizer forever in Baltimore, so I think I met you one time, somewhere, yeah, so. I know your face, I can't remember your name, but, yeah.
So you said even if you and meet the income requirements, you may still be able to sign up?
Absolutely. So we have another one that's open to all income levels around Longgate in Howard County. However, that's still the BG&E territory. So as long as you're a BG&E subscriber, no matter what your income is, you can access a community solar farm. It will just be at the 10% discount, not the 25% discount. Yes, great question. All right. Well, if there's other questions, thank you for your time. Appreciate it, Ernest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Katie,
Look, can I have 5 minutes? Can you give me 5 minutes?
I'll give you 3.
Oh, like me. Right. So I recently sent out an email to the PPNA secretary, because I didn't think I had the other email. We're trying to track, and I know that there's some lead pipes, or not Baltimore, but there's some lead pipes in people's homes. I'm on a mission because the EPA is trying to get me to track down these homes. Now, your neighborhoods only did 62 of the survey. Do you know what that means? There's 24 houses on one block, on one side. 2.5 blocks of PPNA did the survey. I'm gonna be on I had to place on.
Yeah.
You gonna go for it?
I'm going for it. I'm guilty.
I need, please. I have to do this at every meeting and everybody's blocked. I've walked all the way from Little Italy, all the way to the other side of 95, dropping door hangers on everybody's doors, because Baltimore City and Baltimore County has to do this. You have to report what lines you have, whether it be copper, galvanized, PVC, you have to report it on that website. You just have to go to the QR code, put your house in, see if you're in the red or the blue, and you'll know if you have to put your feature in the system. Once you do that, if you're already done and you see that you're cleared, you don't have to do anything else. But if you do, you want to send me an email saying, Haiti, I really can't. We're eventually gonna get service. I just want to create a list of people who cannot do it. If you can't do it at all, you know anybody who can't do it, you can send me an email. I'll start creating a list so that later on we can address those situations. But if you could do it right now, if you could please tell your neighbors, I greatly appreciate it.
You have the QR code? Okay. Let me get my grandson to do it.
And then,
Thank you, guys.
Katie, I think I saw an email recently that, DPW is instituting auto pay for water billing.
Did you see our water bill? Yes. I just went out last week.
Yeah, when does that start?
So, from what I saw, it's gonna be starting in 2 weeks. 'Cause I just got it myself last week in the email. Looks like a nice water bill. It looks really nice. Now you can set it up. It's much easier for some people, but it's gonna be still the old way. A paper bill will still go out unless you actually click off that you don't want the paper bill and you can have it through the app or however the app is designated. I haven't gone through the app yet, so I haven't done it myself. But I saw the new one, okay?
So since they're doing auto pay, do we still get the fee?
I don't know about that. Charge a fee?
Yeah, $2.99 every time you pay.
The credit card transaction.
Oh, a credit card fee. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not in that part of it. My apologies, you guys.
You know, but
How long does this process take, start to finish?
God, so you go downstairs, you go take a picture, you take a look at the pipe that's on the wall, you scratch it, take a picture, upload it, I don't know, 10 minutes?
It was easy.
Yeah, how long did it take you?
I have a pencil and so it's a little bit more
Oh, you have a
trickier.
pencil?
But once I took the photo, I went to my computer, downloaded the photo and put it onto the website and everything worked.
Yeah, and if you do it with your phone, it's probably less time than sitting to the, my mother would do it that way, because she doesn't know how to do her phone.
No,
And
it was
my
just
daughter-
that you couldn't transfer the picture into the survey without losing the survey every time I tried to do it. So, and then I would have to start over and try it.
Oh, get out of here. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. My apologies.
Evening.
You're the-
So
Who knows?
if somebody can't access, the part of the pipe from inside of their home.
Please let me know. Those are the people I wanna know.
Okay.
Especially if you look up your address and your address is on the red, I wanna know, so I can put you people to the side, and when we come to those questions, or when the director of DPW asks me, hey, why don't I have this, I can provide the list here. This is why I haven't gotten to, because these people have these particular problems. And, I've created the list, and hey, let's try to help them as best we can, and we can get some interns to come out, there's certain things that we can do. I know that they talked about this issue, and not making maybe a small hole just to see what the pipe is, or because some people have reconstructed their homes, they put walls around this pipe.
Yeah, I just need, like, my plumber, which I haven't been able to get him to come out, I need him to open it up at the water service.
Oh, okay.
Line, because it goes underneath my parking pad, and when they redid all the pipes in my house, there's not enough there to actually assess it. So I have to go out to where the water comes into the house.
You have to go out, so.
At the service.
Why is that, you doing it from the outside?
Yeah, we'd have to check it from the outside, what the service line is made out of.
Put it on your list.
Yeah.
Yeah, you better send me an email.
Yeah.
I gotta find out about that.
All right, I'm sorry, but
Thank you.
they do close the library at 8. It is now 7:48. So, thank you all for coming. We will call this meeting to a close, and please eat the brownies and the cake.
Yeah, I'm not going back.
Well, the